Hi everyone, welcome to the Movieception Show. My name is Fariba, and earlier this morning we actually got a nice gift from Pixar, and that is the teaser trailer for Inside Out 2, which is insane because I think it's been almost a decade since we got Inside Out, and I'm honestly like super intrigued for the sequel because I recall when I first watched the first movie, Inside Out, so many years ago, right? I mean, I was probably a teenager when the first movie came out. And even with that being the case, I remember watching that film and really just loving the storytelling, the premise, how it really kind of goes into the depths of understanding how emotions work and the concept of it. And still, despite, the fact that this is, catered towards kids, right? That there's still something meaningful and with a really emotional message for adults as well. And I will say this, like, Inside Out to this day is one of the few Pixar movies that keep me crying to this day. Like, anytime, like, I swear to God, that ending, like, it always hits me because I mean, it's like one of the most relatable movies with a really, powerful and emotional message about growing up and having to move along. And again, it's just an amazing film. I think that, for me, Inside Out definitely ranks as one of the best Pixar movies out there. I mean, again, there's so many great Pixar movies, of course. I mean, when we definitely look at kind of the earlier days, like, I mean, the earlier movies that we got in the 2000s or 2010s, like, I mean, Pixar were really churning out some really amazing emotional stories, and Inside Out was definitely one of them. And so knowing the fact that we're about to get a sequel, right? It's like, okay, am I prepared to go through this emotional, turmoil once again? Because I swear, like, I mean, the first movie definitely hit me in the feels so hard. I mean, wow. And one of the funniest stories I have about it before I go into the trailer is that, so one of the funniest stories is that I once showed the actual movie to like a couple of kids. Like, I think they were maybe like 6. I think one was like maybe 6 or 8. The other one was like barely 4 or 5. And it was actually a family that was visiting Florida, and we're just like, okay, let the parents go and have fun. I can go and babysit the kids. So, in doing so, I was like, okay, let's show the kids Inside Out because Inside Out is a very kid-appropriate movie and it has a really nice message and it's Pixar and all that sort of stuff. So I recall to this day watching that movie, and I know it was supposed to be catered towards kids, but anytime we got to that ending, I had to like move my head to the side just because I didn't want to like tear up in front of kids. And then there's just kids out there, right there sitting, just watching the movie, just kind of like, whatever. I mean, it was a really interesting experience right there. I mean, of course, like, it makes sense why the kids wouldn't understand what's going on in the movie, why they wouldn't feel that emotional, feel as emotionally wrecked as some of us felt watching this film. I mean, it was definitely a perfect movie that had a really wide audience, whether it be for the kids, whether it be for the parents, whether it be for teenagers. I mean, this was a film that was really, truly resonated with so many people, and I cannot wait to see this, sequel. I think the sequel itself is gonna, kind of forward a little bit to Riley when she is a teenager. So again, another whole phase for kids that they have to kind of go through, So yeah, I'm very curious to see what's going to happen. I wonder if we're going to get kind of that similar emotional depth from the first movie, or if we're going to see a bit more of that change in pace. So without further ado, let's get right down into the teaser trailer for Inside Out 2. Music. I'm already feeling emotional.
Our little girl's growing up so fast. And things couldn't be better.
Oh, 13.
What is that?
Okay, let's clear it all out. It's demo day!
Hey, what's happening? Who are you people?
Oh my god. god. Renovation, I see.
Wait, you can't move! Hey, what are you doing?
All right, she's all set.
Set with what? Orange? Who
This
made
summer,
the
okay.
console orange?
Do I look orange?
I didn't touch it.
Orange is not my color.
Not me. Hello.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, I'm anxiety. Where can I put my stuff?
A new emotion. Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. We wanted to make such a good first impression.
What do you mean
It's so
we?
hard. Okay, so that's the teaser trailer for Inside Out 2, and that hit way too hard. Anxiety. Oh man, you couldn't be any more cruel about that. Oh man, that's gonna be really fun to watch. I mean, of course, like when you look at this trailer, they go and reminisce a little bit of what happened in the first film. You can see how they have that ending right there where Riley reunites with her parents after all that drama that had unfolded at the end of the movie, where she was feeling really nostalgic about her home, how she was feeling homesick, and eventually that led to this very unusual period where instead of having to always feel joy, right? Like, I mean, of course that's the character Joy, having to always feel joy. There's also a whole phase, or there's also a way where even though memories, even though they used to be happy, can also turn out to be sad because of the fact that we are growing up, and because things will change, that we kind of have to just adapt to it and accept those changes. And this may sometimes turn into a far more sadder feel to kind of looking back into it, but it's something to accept, right? So this is where they're trying to find that acceptance of how things are, how the world changes, which also means how a person will change. And so again, really nice message from the first movie. Now we're seeing a little bit of glimpse of this new phase for Riley, and that is of course her becoming a teenager. So that means puberty and boys and and then of course in this case anxiety, which is like, oh, this is gonna be a fun ride. I mean, we all know how it feels like to be very anxious in life and be very, very stressed. So I'm very excited to see how they're going to play out, the whole storyline with now anxiety becoming this new emotion. Now, of course, because of this whole aging process, how, Riley is now becoming a teenager. So she's going to start to really understand kind of, how can you explain it? Kind of the more tougher side of how the world works. So especially as she's probably gonna be maybe in middle school and high school at this point, so it's not gonna be easy. It's gonna be an interesting ride. I wonder how they're going to tackle it. So I would imagine that she's probably gonna have she's probably gonna be going to school. She's probably gonna be tackling things like boys and puberty and all that sort of stuff, like the typical things that a lot of us had to kind of deal with when we were younger. And yeah, I think that so far the trailer looks really promising. Again, just to see the fact that they had this whole remodeling process because of the fact that Riley turned 13 just means like, oh, we're gonna have a whole new different kind of ride. Now I do hope that as we do get into this whole new chapter, that we still get both the the great spirits of the emotions as well as the emotionality, and kind of going depths into just again kind of the changes and showing how as a result of change that there is gonna be some sort of message behind it. So I'm assuming that's gonna be the case as well. I feel like this is something that Pixar's typically good at. I mean, I won't say that that's something that I've seen a lot more in the last few movies, but I think that now going into Inside Out 2 and kind of going back to kind of the glory movie that is Inside Out, the one that really hit us so deep and has been one of the best Pixar movies out there, that hopefully kind of going back to that sequel, we might be able to get a bit more of that just again. And of course, I mean, this could be like Toy Story, right? Like this could be like the way that we follow a Toy Story, where Woody and his gang are undergoing some sort of trial or tribulation, whether it be getting lost as toys, trying to reunite with Andy, and then of course kind of this really big point where, you know, your owner is, you know, very old, too old to even have toys. So it's like, oh, what does this mean for the toys who have been obsolete? So I'm going to assume that we're going to kind of see a similar change of pace with Inside Out 2. Like, we were going to get this just right here. But yeah, this is only simply a teaser trailer, so there isn't too much to really dive into. And hopefully when we do get the full trailer, that we get to get a better idea of what this whole, you know, the vibes of the movie is going to be and kind of the direction of their message. But yeah, looks really promising. I think that the first trailer does a really great job giving us kind of both the nostalgia, but also kind of this new era that we're about to go into. With all I have to really say about the teaser trailer, it's only simply a teaser, so we're probably gonna get more out of what to expect for Inside Out 2. I just took a quick look at the poster. There apparently is more. There's gonna be more emotions being introduced. So, oh man, that's gonna be kind of, you know, I don't know. I'm a bit frightened because I'm just like, oh man, this is gonna be so, you know, this is gonna be too deep into the fields. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the trailer. I think that so far it really goes into both the nostalgia as well as kind of go into the new era of this whole Inside Out franchise, and, you know, continuing off with Riley's story and kind of this change that she's going through as she's growing up. Would that mean that we're going to have Inside Out 3 now? I mean, it kind of looks very, you know, likely now, having seen what they're experimenting with. But yeah, that's all to say about the Inside Out teaser trailer. There isn't too much to really break down because it's a pretty relatively short, you know, first look at the sequel, but we're probably going to get more. But what are your thoughts having now seen the sequel, or at least the first look of it? Like, are you excited to see this? Like, I mean, it's been I think it's been about 10 years almost since we've had the first film. Like, what are your experiences having seen the first Inside Out movie? Were you like me, who's like emotionally wrecked by the message and the, you know, the ending of it all, and kind of this whole idea of acceptance and moving on and just trying to adapt to new changes? Do you think that the sequel is even necessary, or do you think that this is a really good phase to kind of change the pacing of the Inside Out franchise? Where do you rank Inside Out in terms of, you know, ranking some of the best Pixar movies?